What's up, guys? Now, this video has really put me through a lot. It has taken at least 10 hours between 2 days to get through everything, and I must say I did expect to kind of blow by all the content just by having white fully maxed out, but I would say definitely if you're a lot lower powered and a lot earlier in the content, you will notice massive changes. But if you're already on high-end content, you'll get a good boost, maybe even a better push. It just really depends on your account and the resources you have available, as well as your power and your compositions from what units you have, depending on their transcendence. So many different factors. Like the RNG in this game, I feel like is the most I've ever witnessed in any single game compared to anything I've played, and I've played over 30 games, like whale level and all that. But there's just RNG for everything. It's like even equipment matters because you might have different refines, and that's especially true with legendaries. Like certain people have more legendary weapons with EX gauges, and that's why they can clear even further. But that depends on your RNG from doing admin, getting more legendary materials. You know, it just goes on and on. So all I want to say is that your experience, your progression is unique to you. Don't feel pressured. Don't be stressed out. You know, it's perfectly normal. You're just going to be progressing at your own level. It is the way it is. I tried to do a lot more than I could, and this is where I ended up with. So this video is going to be going all over the place. I will be commentating throughout it. It might not be a steady commentary because it is like 10 hours of gameplay. I try to speed up into all of this. So bear with me. I try my best to keep things chronologically. What I do want to go over though is what you should aim for in this game, especially now with white being out. So if you're free to play, you should just aim for T1. I think it's more than enough because his first skill will just give him some kind of sustain back. Don't really need to overextend. After that, if you're a low spender, T4 is the highest you should aim for. Tier 2 gives you silence. Tier 4 gives you additional healing. And then Tier 3 does give you an additional 15% damage on the passive. That's more than enough. Now the issue would be more for Albelda, and I want you guys to keep her in mind, only because she could come out anytime right now. I feel like she's going to be out by May. I still think Karaka is next. Maybe next week, maybe the week after that. But Albelda is on the way. You want to get her minimum T2 and her ignition weapon. So this is why for free-to-plays or very low spenders, you want to just consider just getting white T1. Don't even really need his weapon unless you actually don't have the Fug family legendary, or you don't have the purple one for the Fug family maxed out. Because his actual ignition weapon is just only going to give you attack speed and attack stats itself. That's pretty much all it is. It's just a stat stick for him. For white, you're not using his ignition. He ends up losing out to self-sustain since it doesn't spam his skill 1 while he ignites. He just does a basic attack. And even if it is good damage, he just gets no healing back from it. But for Albelda, when you end up getting her Tier 2, it increases the amount of healing that she does for her skill 1. And the real reason why is because her Tier 2 ends up giving you more of a... She accelerates your whole team's cooldowns for every single skill, so you get your skills back faster, but Tier 2 gives you an additional 20% compared to just getting the base 10% from her skill 2. So that is why you want her to get it. Plus her weapon is going to give her access to her ignition skill, and give her higher attack speed so she can ignite faster, get her EX gauge faster. It's a big deal. I feel like Albelda is irreplaceable, but white, you can do still well enough with Yone, other carries that come into the game, further down the line, Elaine whenever she comes out. If you're a medium spender though for Albelda, I would recommend you to get at least T4, because that makes her the best healer in the game. And it also gives her the best utility, best support for your entire team. Still, just get the base ignition weapon. And then if you're a whale, do whatever you want. I'm planning on T6ing her as well as her weapon. Going to fully max her out because to me she is invaluable. She is the most overused and overtuned support that the game will have. And she gets used for a full year Straight up in Korea. No, no alternatives, no nothing. She is just that unique. I didn't expect this explanation to last this long. Kind of wanted to briefly go over it. So I will just say that throughout the video, um, you're gonna see stuff in the background. In this part, it was just me powering up. I went through all my fusions. I went through all the resources I had right after I did my pulls. And you're just gonna see me get 3 legendaries from the fusion in the end. One of it was an extra white, so it ends up getting me my ignition tome. I would say that fusions are very low chance to get legendaries, but if you're a low spender, free to play, I would suggest you just to fuse your weapons, because legendary units are useless without ignitions for like 90% of them. So it is so big for you to get family ignition weapons to help you save on pulls down the line. And it is very key for you to just get the actual ignition weapons for units so that you can actually make full use of them. And unfortunately, it's just the way the game is so ridiculous, I think, in that sense, to where a character is just so incomplete. A T0 unit is nothing like a maxed one, let alone maybe a tier 3. And it's even worse when you just don't have their ignition weapon or anything like that. I end up getting a couple dupes over the time. I end up giving white some more levels, just because going to help his accuracy against higher level monsters. It's going to give him a little bit of a power boost. Then I decided to go into Fates, because Fates do give a ton of power to your unit. It's so good to know that Sachi is on this Fate for Storm Bomb. You also have Uraha, Hansung, and White himself. Albelda will eventually be added to this. So get yourself level 5 on every single legendary. If you're going to balance out Bomb and Viol for their main character stats, get legendaries 5. You want to get the purples to 10. Then after you can get purples to 15, unless you're using legendaries, you want to end up getting all legendaries to 10. And then it's a matter of, if you're using legendaries, get legendaries to 15 while all your hero units are 15 as well. And then you can kind of mix and match like I've been doing. But typically you're going to balance out your fates, get everything to level 15. For the units you are using in legendary wise, I push for 20. 25 would be ideal because you end up getting the final stat boost. Anything after 25, it's not really necessary. I feel like 25 to 30 isn't that great of a stat boost, isn't that good of a bonus. But I did it for White because I want him at his peak. He does the most damage in the game right now. That's not going to change. So I had to also go ahead and reset certain fates. I had to end up getting myself more starlights back. I had to get myself gold. And most importantly, I had to get more fates. But I think the biggest issue in global is you just don't get starlights, and that is such a problem. I know in Korea, you have a harder time getting the fate boxes, the fate gifts, but you're getting so many starlights. For global, it's the exact opposite. Not only are we getting screwed with gold, but we're also having so little starlights. Besides family shop every week and getting the Enoch special pack throughout the week itself, you don't really have a way to get starlights outside an event. So for my climbing purposes and just overall use, White needed to get 30 for me. I want him doing the most damage. Sachi, he is fantastic all around. Has like perfect synergy with regular bomb. He is used in admin, tower, story, everywhere. Sachi is used. Probably the best legendary I have, next to White and Yon and a few others that I'm constantly using. Uraha, she's also going to be irreplaceable. I have the 60% EX gauge freedom weapon on her. And her silence with her EX is just... the CC on every fight is just so valuable. So I wanted to get her going. And I ended up having to go through a bit more resets just to get everything lined up. Now, I wish that we still had the free resets, or that maybe once in a while they'll bring back free resets for just like an event. Because one, it gets your battle pass maxed out, which is like the best thing. Get yourself a free level 30 battle pass. But the reality is, you want to just get the rewards in the Fate web. So I wish I could reset all my fates right now and push it all into one just to see how high the rewards I can obtain are. But it's not going to be possible because it takes 50 diamonds per hero unit to reset. and it takes 100 per legendary. So because of that, I'm just not going to be able to do that, unfortunately. Here I was going through the typical global struggle, need starlights. So I go back to the new event for white, and I get the remaining starlights from there, pick up all the other rewards as well, and then I have to go back to the web. So now I ended up getting Yuraha 25, I ended up getting Sachi 25, and then white ended up being 30. Towards the later part of the video, you're going to see that I end up getting either more resources or more starlights, and I end up going into Hansung because he's someone you use. But right now, my white is pretty much capped out. I try to go back in and get some more skill books. The priority I didn't get a chance to go into, but you did see on the screen was the first skill you do want to prioritize. It's all of white's damage, and it's pretty much where the sustain is going to be from him just not dying in a fight. And after the first skill, you want to go for his passive because it's going to be passively boosting his whole damage. And after that, you want to go for the skill 2 and EX. I did put them out in that way because you want to prioritize skill 1 and passive, and then after those two, you want to do skill 2 and EX. Simply because they do add damage, they do give a boost. His EX at tier 6 will give him an extra 30% physical damage boost, and his tier 2 ends up silencing, so it does get some crowd control. The weirdest issue right now is just that the crowd control from white is currently bugged. There was a forum post I saw that said if he ends up using his skill 2, it overwrites Sachi's crowd control. And this is a real big issue because especially when Sachi's bind lasts, I think, 5 or 6 seconds when it's tier 5, it ends up basically lasting like 3 seconds, and then white's gonna hit his skill 2, and then his silence overwrites the bind. So I hope they fix that issue or they make it overlap or something, because it seems like that the last applied debuff or last applied crowd control just overwrites everything. So that's kind of a horrible thing. But then I went back into PvP, tried to mess around with things. It just looks like I need a healer. And like I said in the previous video, it's so situational. You can counter one person, but then your counter team will just lose to somebody else. So I switched out, put Evan in as a healer. Tried my luck to go out here, and yeah, let's just say it doesn't work out. The level differences and power differences, it really does just make such a difference. So I was surprised to beat someone 9 levels above me right now while I was doing this just to mess around with it. But personally, I didn't really get like such a wow factor from white. I mean, I think everyone had really, really high expectations for him. But at least from my standpoint, I feel like Albelda just makes him twice as good, but she makes almost everyone twice as good. So then I head into admin. It was Sentinel, which is like one of the worst ones that you can get. Just gives such little gold, such little diamonds. It doesn't really give much to it. So the only solution I could figure out was to just put white in and get rid of Yone, because my Yone's damage was falling off. So I rotated everything out, switched it all around. And the reserves for me are kind of useless because nobody would die. But in case someone died, I put Verity at the front just so that she can give shields and maybe carry out the fight. Since at that point, you're not going to be getting any heals off anyway. But right off the bat, I'll say that white's damage was immense. And I didn't expect Sachi to be passing out Bong Bong either. It's like, this didn't happen to me last time I did Sentinel. At least last week. Because I did fight Sentinel before I went in with white and switched the team, just so I could compare the damage after the first one. And normally it was Bong Bong, Bomb, and then Sachi. But now everything's a little bit different. Ends up white just doing so much more damage. So this is where I finally start seeing white's actual potential. As if we all didn't know. But last week I had a score of 30 mil. Counting that to today, I have a 17 million damage boost with just white alone in the team. It was 35 mil because that was the team beforehand. Then I started messing around with the team. I try to put a different skill, or at least switch fates. Then I end up trying to switch the reserves. I dropped that. I don't know why. I just skipped but I ended up going into the white journal and just trying to finish that out. Just because we want to get the rewards. I'm desperate for gold right now. The amount of gold I have to use for everything is too much. I don't even know what's going on right now. I checked Revolution Road. I want to work on that. I went to King's Order, collected all the rewards, get all the family coins, all the gold from that, get all the refined stones, which I am saving refined stones for when I can craft the legendary weapon. And that's going to be probably at least one more week because I have no refined ruby crystals and I can only craft a couple more. Now unless Friday gives me some luck and maybe I can get some. But I caved in to craft the legendary boots for white simply because the purple boots are the probably the first thing you can switch out since the debuff resist is kind of worthless and it does give you defense. So seeing as how Ginseng is my main tank and I want to just give white more stats, I thought it was a great idea to get the boots. And I did go through a few refines. I was hoping for just defense stat or, fug stats most importantly. Eventually, I did end up just getting like a purple fog defense and an HP, so I was like, that's good enough. I'll stick with that. I transcended the boots because you're not going to make the gloves, as these gloves give you attack speed and critical damage, I believe. And the actual legendary gloves give you HP instead of that. So you're missing out too much damage to go legendary gloves. And the purple helm is also better because you get damage resist over HP. I'm just commentating over this after I went through a brutal amount of stuff. So I jumped into story. Chapter 11 and 12 came out. I was thinking, okay, I'll probably clear this whole thing out. And eventually you're going to realize that that did not happen. I didn't end up clearing out the full story. So this is where my content is going to start jumping around. And this is where the commentary is going to take a bit of a pause. So I will make sure to pop in and out and commentate on certain things, but I don't really want to continue the commentary completely, at least. I feel like this would be a great point of the video, and I did originally plan to do this in the beginning, but I just want to say thank you guys for all the support. I didn't think I'd be back doing YouTube, and especially keeping up content for something, but I know it's been 3 years. And I did say how I want to get more people into the Discord, but I haven't figured out a way to really do that. So in honor of, I guess, the amount of support you guys have given me and what's going on right now with Tower of God, I'm going to leave at the very bottom of the YouTube video description a Discord link. It's going to cap out. It's only for the first 25 people that join the Discord. So after 25 people have clicked that link, you're not going to be able to use that link. And maybe in the future, I'll put another one out. Maybe every week I'll do something. And I'll end up adding a link. But for now, you guys made it through this part of the video. Whether you skipped around and got lucky, or you actually watched the video from the beginning. If you're not in the Discord already, go ahead and check the bottom of the YouTube description. You'll see a Discord link there. And hopefully it's still active and you're able to join. Otherwise, we're back to the video where I got stuck at 11-6 because there's a laser girl that's just so overpowered. So I figured, okay, I'll go into hard. I figured I can finally clear out chapter 3 to get the 30 stars. And I can continue into hard story itself. So here, managed to get that. And then I could go into God's inventory and for the pocket and add it into it. Because I first put it into Kranos. And then I put it into Thorn from chapters 1 and 2. So I wanted the third chapter to go into pocket so I could boost Bomb and Sachi and Tower Climbers. And then whenever I clear chapter 4, it's going to go into Freedom because Freedom is mostly support units, so they don't really need the stat boost. I think it was like attack and HP or something like that. I don't even remember what the stats are. But then we go into hard, chapter 4, and I should point out that there was a few RNG for this hard story. Throughout the video, you're going to see things basically get cleared in one run, and I promise you, it did not take one run. At least for a hard story, it wasn't too difficult until I got to the part where I actually got stuck. But for Tower of Trial, I will tell you this, that it took so many tries for some stages. I was even stuck on one stage for 2 hours before I cleared it. And I can just say that, yeah, it was a brutal 2 days to get all this content out. But I wanted to give gameplay for the game. I wanted to show off what I can do. And I'm not really sure if it's going to really show off what it's doing. But, it just gets to show you guys what I've been up to right now and what I was able to achieve. I feel like I did progress well enough. I know I got through a lot of content that I couldn't have done without White. Do I feel like I should have cleared a lot more? Yeah, I really believe that I could have cleared everything for some reason with White. Just because I've seen people with maybe a little bit more power than me, similar power than me, actually do clear like Tower of Trial like 250 or get really high up into it. So I feel like I didn't do as good as I should have done. But everything in this game is just subjective. Like, it's out of my control, I feel like, at this point. I did what I could. I did the best that I could do. And it's just an RNG fest at the end of the day. But I feel like I'm going to be capped out right now with my progress, at least until I get the legendary weapon for White. And hopefully even better refines. And then I do hope that maybe next week, when they drop something, I don't know what they're going to drop. No one knows. But I can't wait to find out what the next week's notes are. I'm hoping that there's either packs for I don't even know what they could do, honestly. Like, it's just starlights, maybe. Maybe just a lot of starlights. Refines, I probably could use that too. Maybe just to hopefully roll for something better. But I mean, honestly, start doing packs for legendary materials, legendary transcends. I mean, I'm really just expecting Karaka to be next week. That's, I think, what my expectation is. I'm like really expecting to see Karaka. And I do want him. So I'm going to T6 him regardless. Now, I get to the part of Hard Story, where I'm stuck. And this stage is honestly ridiculous because it's the first stage I can think of where it's just all back-to-back fights. You cannot recharge or you cannot charge up. I try to go back into 4-9 different teams, different ways, and the fourth fight seems to get me every single time. So we collect our rewards, go into this. I get a knock dupe, which I think I pulled her twice extra after I maxed her. So it gives me another Shinsu Soul. Give White that extra level. Now he's +5. And gets a little bit more of a stat boost. Higher accuracy. I'll take it. I do wish I could get other legendary units. But this Tower of Trial feature is honestly ridiculous. So the whole leaderboards for every floor is a great way for you to see how people clear the fight. And you can outright just copy and take that team and use it for yourself if you have, close enough power, same transcendence. But that's, I think, the issue is that this feature is going to help out those people who have all the transcendence and all the units and the power to match it. So this is a feature I feel like that matters for those that are pretty much whales. I feel like free-to-plays and low spenders, you're going to have to either really wait a long time and use this to get a sense of what you should do in a stage, and then change up the team to what you have. Otherwise, this only benefits so much. But these stages were honestly ridiculous. You're gonna see things I should have done. I should have been turning off Viol's ignition because I was using I don't know, I was going back and forth. You're gonna see a lot of things. I didn't use a pet at first. I didn't have a pet from Tower of Challenge. That I get later. This is where it starts. So I end up getting the keys. You get an average of 1 per every 60 key, but the Guardian doesn't even guarantee it. So you might get 1 in 120 as an average, but then you also end up getting 1 key for every 60 Tower of Trial keys through the Tower of Challenge. There's only 3 levels available right now. The Zegena's Habitat is the hardest one. Don't recommend going for that because unless you're like probably 700 plus K power, 750K, you probably can't clear that within the time limit. So I went for the middle one. You have 5 fights, you have a time limit. You want to just simply kill every single boss. For clearing every single wave, every single round, you end up getting rewards. And then you hope to get lucky at that point. As future content happens, we're going to see the 4th and 5th level open up. for now, you only get these first 3. So I did that. And right now, you also want to stack your keys for Tower of Challenge events, because you end up getting 1 key back for every 2 that you use. And I feel like right now, it's very hard to get these keys. They're going to definitely paywall this feature. Probably going to paywall keys because Korea did have packs to get keys. And here I was hoping to get the pet that would help me out with the PvE content. And I did say I didn't really want to get dupes, because it does give a little bit of power. But the PvP pet is great because it's the only pet you can really use for PvP. The 15% maximum HP did make a difference when I put it on. I end up just getting 1k power flat out, so I decided to try out that PvP. I don't think I had the footage there, but I did get 2nd place with that pet, so I just skipped through it. Then I had another key, went back to Tower of Challenge, hoping just to get more pets. And every time you're gonna go into Tower of Challenge, you're basically just hoping to get the pets right now. I don't recommend fusing the other materials because it costs a ton of gold. So your goal is to just stack the keys, stack the pets, fuse the pets, and pretty much you have to just hope to get the lucky ones. Otherwise, it's a very RNG feature, which is literally the game. But I love it. I feel like the art is what sells me to it. Like, this game is just phenomenal. I've never seen a game where at least the art has me so hooked right now. Like, I love Epic 7, and I think the art is great, but like, I don't know, something about Tower of God, like, I love the visuals. The visuals are carrying hard. That is the most useless rune you've ever seen. So I was glad to get that first pet that gives damage boost against the boss. Which I didn't even realize that you can use this on story, Tower of Trial, pot rice, everything. I thought that for some reason, it was like I had to actually have the boss health bar and stuff like that, but it will help. Went back to admin with the newly equipped pet that would give you damage to boost it to a boss, and I did 1.5 million more, so pets do make a difference. And I should tell you that every floor with Quant is like the biggest wall ever. And I've been noticing that because if a floor had Quant, he would teleport to the back and just kill white and kill like every single person in the back line. And it would just take a lot of RNG and a lot of effort to actually go through with it. So I hated Quant floors. And all these stages, yes, I'm telling you, I did not one-shot these. I think this Ron stage, I was on it for at least an hour. There was another stage, I think the last stage that I get up to, I tried to RNG it for 2 hours. And I could not clear it. So a lot of these stages were not done first try. A few of them were, some more were done maybe within 5 tries, 10 tries. But I'd say at least half of these stages probably took at least like 20 to 30 minutes of RNG. And I've tried many different team comps, many different situations. Times where I should have had Viol's ignition off and White's ignition off. I messed around with every single thing I could think of, and like, at the end of the day, I can't force the progress on the game. It was either gonna happen or it really wasn't. But I did say I was glad to get as far as I did. I did end up going back to a single summon here. Open up a legendary ticket from the 180 floor, and you cannot believe it, but I got Reflejo twice today. Literally, my 2nd month login pack gave me Reflejo. This is actually, this is the 2nd day right now that you're seeing. So that was the 2nd month login. I got Reflejo from that. Okay, I go into the white armored admin now. And I just put in white over Yon. Or I put white over Xiao, sorry. And I know I said I wasn't going to commentate the whole thing, but I feel like the video would be so awkward if I wasn't speaking throughout the whole thing. I can't imagine just like, oh, here guys, I'm going to talk for 10 minutes. And then next thing you know, there's like a silence for 6 minutes. I speak for like 2 seconds, and then it goes back and forth. So at this point, I'm trying to retain my sanity from the amount of editing and recording time that this has took over the last 2 days. But I wanted to get this video out on Friday because it's the only time I'm going to have before next week's video. And just so you guys can see what white can do. So white already boosted my damage up by almost 10 million. I think I forgot to put the pet in the first attempts. Like, I just keep forgetting about the pet system now. So a lot of times you'll see I don't have the pet in certain stages. Eventually it catches up. I do put pets. I tried it with this setup, didn't work out. So I end up switching the fates again because I don't know, it's just, I try suggestions, I try to mess around with things. Then I realized my pet was missing, so the damage does add up. I go through it again. Okay, my damage went up to 33.2 million. I retake first place on that, which doesn't even matter right now because there's no ranking rewards. We're gonna have to wait for Korea to update admin where the damage rewards go up to 3 billion and you actually get ranking rewards per week for this. But then I switched it off again. I know tried to put it with I got rid of Bong Bong for Xiao Xiao, but I did less damage, so I went back to Bong Bong because she's just doing too much damage, and her tier 3 gives her a boost against bosses. So I already figured that. Then I tried to power up White even further because I wanted to progress. I wanted to go into the second day and complete Tower of Trials. Like, I literally thought that I could do it. So I started spending more books, spending more resources, and going into this. And yeah, so the goal is to get at least skill 1 17, passive 17, keep the other two at 11, and try to upgrade the gear even further. At this point, like, I don't know what to do. It's just kind of feel like not having the weapon is maybe hindering my progress a little bit, but then again, my purple weapon is pretty good transcend wise. So here I think is when I started to have a pet in Tower of Trials. And I noticed that with all the changes today, I finally cleared Quant, which was such a wall. And it doesn't get better because there's like Quants up until almost, I think, floor 220. So it's a painful process, but here I started getting some hope, I would say at least. Started getting some hope. I ended up going through this, ended up clearing, ended up feeling better. They did still take a couple tries, but this is where I get the 180 floor package, so I get it. Next thing you know, I get my second fucking Reflejo in the same day, and I'm like so over it. Like, yes, it gives me another Shinsu Soul, and I get White plus 7. But my god, can I get like Urek? Like, please, can I get Ron? And then I realized, okay, Hansung needs to get Fates because I'm using him a lot in tower, and I was getting stuck because my power was just not high enough right now. So I got Hansung to level 15, raised his power up a little bit, and I was able to clear the stage. So I started progressing again. But let me tell you that the secret to beating Quant floors is having Urek T6. Because he is able to taunt everyone for 8 seconds. And that will even grab Quant off your backline. So you're basically just having Urek survive for 8 seconds with all the aggro on him, and then you're hoping to blast down whoever you can from the other team. And it really does work out and does really good. It also doesn't help that my Yuri-Ha is just not good enough. I see everyone have like a T6 Yuri-Ha and mine is stuck at 4. So I've been having to either try Yuri-Ha and hope it works, which it wasn't most of the time, or switch to Urek T4 or switch to Jinsung T6. I mean, you're gonna see the comps, you're gonna see the teams I was using, all the clears. I was doing what I could, and I really feel like I was struggling through these floors. I didn't feel like I was comfortable, and I wasn't progressing well enough as I thought I was. But here I am getting to 190. 190 was tough. Like, Viol floors are hard, Ron floors are hard, Yon floors are hard, Quant floors are hard. I don't know, I think at this point it's like every floor after 150 is ridiculous, but here I hit the end at least, where after this one, as now we head into what is presently going on. So I did manage to hit level 170. I did decide to finally go through all the Tower of Challenge keys. I farmed all my Tower of Trial keys. And still going with the second option. Only because, at least from what I believe, it's better to clear it fully than to go into the third option and only kill 3 out of the 5 bosses, even if you get a purple chance. Only because your chance of getting that purple will be very low. But I don't really know too much about this feature besides the incubators. I just know that you want to get as many pets as possible, as they do give a great amount of stats. I completely forgot to actually equip a pet the entire time I was doing this, so eventually I added a pet in for a little bit more of a damage boost, so don't forget to just equip pets anywhere you can use a team. Not doing any fusions, at least with these elements, but from what I notice, you know, the boosts will be really good if you can actually equip them to your pets. The Freedom Harry, the blue one, is the one you want to get because it will help you in tower, prevent you from getting that one shot, but you know, you have to just get really lucky and hope that you eventually get a blue one. I don't know how long it will take, but that's the pet I'm going after. This video was a lot longer than I thought it would, but to finish things off, I tried out the new PvP pet that gives 25% HP boost, and seeing as how it's just a massive increase and is required to win. But thank you guys for watching. Live Moss and stay free to play.